Hello everyone, I am the Desert Gardener, and today I'm going to be reviewing more garden tools and supplies. So I got my tea, let's talk about that. So this is actually going to be part 2. In part 1, I talked about some different type of plant clips, a precision pruner, some holsters for your pruners, as well as a couple of different options for harvesting bags. In fact, I really like the forager pouch. That was a really great product, and I definitely recommend it. If you missed part 1, I'll put a link down below, that way you can check it out. But I got 8 more items to talk about today, so let's get started. Now the first one I wanted to talk about is felt grow bags. Now if you're not familiar with these, you really should be. I recommend them for everybody, and the best way to talk about them is to talk about the alternative. Now, and that is a plastic pot. Now a plastic pot, many of them are black, so they attract heat. In fact, this one is kind of warm to the touch. They also hold the heat in, and when the roots hit the inside of the pot, they have a tendency to turn left and go around and around and around and around. Now these things are really great for your indoor plants, but I think they're terrible for your outdoor plants. Now a felt pot like this one here doesn't do any of the things we mentioned before. They come in a few colors, they don't absorb heat, they don't hold the heat in, and best part is when the root gets to the edge, it tries to get through, it hits oxygen and it self-prunes, and then the plant creates a brand new root at the root ball and heads out. And this ends up being much better for the plant. And this particular one is a 3-gallon one, but you can get them anywhere from 2 up to 50 gallons. The 3-gallon ones, for 5 of them, on Temu is $8.48, and on Amazon they're $6.99. Now I'm going to have the Temu links for everything I'm talking about here down below, and I'll talk more about the links and the coupon code at the end. But for now, I definitely recommend felt pots, and I love these handles. It makes them easy to pick up and move around. Perfect for your pepper plants. 3 to 5 gallons is pretty normal for pepper plants. If you plan on doing tomato plants, you should probably go with at least 5 to 7. All right, the next one are leather gloves. Now, I really love me some nice pair of soft leather gloves, and it's something that many gardeners recommend. However, I don't actually use them while gardening because, of course, if you get them wet, they become damaged and they're not really as useful. But I do use them quite a bit when I'm using a post hole digger or a rake, or I'm dealing with a lawn care and stuff like that. And these leather gloves on Amazon, they're $10.96, and on Temu, $7.47. Same exact gloves. But what I really recommend are the dipped gloves. Now these are a nice stretchy nylon type material, but they're dipped in a plastic type material here at the end, and they got a little bit of texturing here. Now these, because they can get wet, these are really great for using in the garden. When things are wet or messy. I use them a lot when I'm up potting and I'm touching a potting mix, and you know how wet and messy and things that can be. These are really great. Keep your hands clean. And on Amazon, they run about $4 each, depending on how many you get. If you're buying like 4 or 5 at a time. But if you order like 200 or something, obviously they're much cheaper. But on Temu, they run about $2 each. So I definitely recommend going through them. And again, links are down below, but I definitely recommend the dip gloves over leather gloves when actually working in the garden. The next thing, this might seem kind of silly, but a pair of utility scissors are very helpful. Now I actually have like 3 or 4 pairs of these. I keep one in the garden, and I use that for opening potting mix bags, fertilizer bags, things like that. I keep a pair in the kitchen which I use for cutting green onions and stuff like that. It's so much easier to hold a green onion over your pot and just snip, 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 rather than putting it on a cutting board, cutting it up, then scooping it up, putting it in your pot. This is so much easier. And I also have one in the garage, and I use this for opening soft-sided packages and stuff like that. I have a utility knife for boxes, but soft-sided bags, large envelope, padded envelopes, things like that, this is really handy. And it's got a little bottle opener there too, although I don't think I've ever actually used that. Now on Amazon these are $4.85, on Temu $2.38, and again, links down below. Now I've talked about this before. I really love having a coffee scoop in my garden, and the reason for this is I use it to measure out fertilizer, either dry or liquid fertilizer. Really doesn't matter, but being able to get the exact right amount I think is very helpful, and you don't make a mess, it doesn't spill, you don't get it all over the place. Now this particular shaped handle, they don't seem to make this anymore, but I was able to find a very similar one on Amazon for $5.25 and on Temu for $1.39, and that's pretty cheap. And for $1.39 I think it's definitely worth picking one up. Now what are you going to do with these things once you have them in your garden? Well, I like to hang them on hooks. Now just off camera over here I have a little container where I store all my garden tools, and just on the inside door I have a series of hooks where I hang things like a pocket knife, I hang my bags for my harvesting bags and things like this. Now I started out using these types of hooks. Now these are the Hyper-Tough hooks that you get from Walmart, and they're the non-marring hooks. Now these are really great for using indoors when you're trying not to mar your furniture, because you pull this and it will take itself off your surface without leaving any mark. But the problem with these is they don't hold as much as they say they do. They're supposed to hold between 1 and 5 pounds depending on which one you get, and they just don't. Just a few ounce pair of scissors will only stay up for a month or two before they just fall off. So I stopped using these and I switched to these, and I really like these much better. Now this is the same thing, it's a peel and stick. However, it's not the non-marring kind, so once you stick them, they're going to stay there, and they hold a lot more. They hold between, I think it's 5 to 10 pounds, and I've been holding some pretty heavy things on these. Now on Amazon, these are $5.99 for 12, and on Temu, they're $1.48. I really like these. I think they're attractive. They really stay put. I haven't had a single one fall down on me yet. And they're very cheap, very affordable. Just don't put them on furniture that you really care about. Go with the non-marring one if you're doing that. And if you happen to have a cabinet that's metal, they make some magnetic ones too. I really like these. I use these in the garage for tools and stuff. Stick things to a metal plate, as well as my water heater and things like that. And on Amazon, 4 of these are $8.99, and on Temu, $4.98. So I really recommend these if you have a metal cabinet to stick them to. Now the next thing is a solar fountain. Now I've talked many times about how I have a bird bath, and you can probably see it behind me, and I really like being able to attract birds to the garden. They eat bugs, and giving them a water source means they're less likely to peck at your tomatoes and your apricots and things like that. And the bees also use them as a place to drink. Now on Amazon, these seem to run about $13, $14, $15. On Temu, this particular one was $8.47, and they have a few options. This is the 1-watt version, meaning when you put it in water, the little fountain here, it's only going to go up about this far, which I think is perfect for a bird bath, because I've had the bigger ones that squirt way up here and then the wind just pushes the water out of the bird bath, and then you have to refill the bird bath every few hours. So the really the low wattage ones, the 1 watt ones, I think are really great for a bird bath. But if you have a big pond or something, I would definitely recommend going for the higher ones, like the 3.5 watts. They're a bit more expensive. They run closer to $10. And for a few more bucks, you can also get ones with lights. It depends on how much you want to spend, different color lights, and some of them come with little battery packs that will charge, and then the device will run for a little while after sundown. The downside of these is I found that they're not really hardy. The battery packs don't really last too long, so it'll only run for about an hour after dusk. And this particular one doesn't have a battery pack, so the second you get even the tiniest bit of shadow, it'll stop running. You probably can't hear it now, but I can feel it vibrating. There's no water coming through it, so obviously it's not squirting. But as soon as I get just the tiniest bit of shadow over it, it stops working. So even a little bit of shadow from trees or clouds or something, it's going to stop working. The other problem is they don't seem to be very hardy. They tend to only last about 3 to 6 months before they just die completely and you have to replace them. But at about $9, having to buy 2 or 3 a year isn't really a huge deal. But keep in mind, they're not going to last forever. Now, like I said, the links for everything I've talked about are going to be down below. And as I mentioned in the last video, the very first time you click on those links, they're going to give you a pop-up ad that asks you to scan a QR code. You don't have to scan that code. That's just if you want to download the app to shop on your phone. And once you click the little X at the very top right-hand corner, it's going to take you to another ad, and then just click on the product photo, and that'll take you to the actual product description. There you can look at the description of the products, you can look at more photos, you can read reviews, things like that. And like I said, there's a coupon code down in the description as well. So when you're checking out, remember to put in that code. And keep in mind that the code only works when you do the regular checkout. If you do the quick PayPal checkout, it doesn't give you an option to put in that code. Okay, well, that's everything I wanted to talk about. And this is just going to be part 2. Link to part 1 is in front, or is going to be down below. And I'm going to have a part 3 and a part 4. So if you want to see those, please like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.